What I was really doing, I was trying to bring energy yesterday, energy, enthusiasm yesterday. And I'm sorry and disappointed on how my energy was directed at the end of the game. My energy should be all in on coaching, motivating, right, and celebrating with our guys. You know, and I got to have better wisdom and discernment of when to use that energy, and that wasn't the time.
Jason, what should we know about this guy that you played for?
He's passionate. He loves his guys. He loves his team, and you're going to know that. And I think you saw it. Obviously, he knows that that was not the right way to handle that situation. You just saw it there, and everybody knows that that was inappropriate. But this is a guy that knows that his energy is going to feed the football team, and the team said that in their postseason, in their postgame interviews. Brandon Graham said we need the Nick Sirianni back that we
Yeah.
That energy, even though it comes out in the wrong way sometimes, like it did at the end of that game, and I am a victim of that myself. Trust me, I'm very happy there has not been a camera on me sometimes when either at the game or after the game.
Yeah.
And you know, it's if that is going to get the best out of him, is that emotional energy that he can then infuse into other people. I'm all for it. Not doing that at the end of games and talking to the fans, but taking it out on the field, doing it with your players, directing it in the right way, which it was for the majority of the game. There's an urgency in Philadelphia now. They need to win now. That game, it wasn't a must-win, but it was.
And that's the other thing, too. Like, he's a human. And I agree with him. He said all the right things. He understands that's not the way that you conduct yourself, especially in the position of head coach when you are a leader of men. But we all hear it. All these people that sit on these podiums and say, I don't know what's happening on the outside. I don't know what people are saying. They're freaking lying. You always know. You always hear it. It always gets back to you. And it can affect you. And for Nick Sirianni, that is the wrong way. You should be celebrating with your team. But sometimes you got to be who you are. You can't put on the head coaching hat and then become this button-up, stuffy guy if that's not who you are. And if his energy feeds this team, and if they feed off of it and play with that same level of energy, he has to direct it in the right way. But if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out being me, not what I think someone else needs me or wants me to be.
I think that's really well said, right? If you're going to fail in life, at least fail being who you are. And if you're going to succeed, don't change up. But you said it, Jason, and you lived it last year when things slipped away from you all. I think there's an urgency, and they haven't scored a point in the first quarter. And a couple of years ago, I told you this again off the air. You guys were a tape we were showing every single night on Sundays. Like, look at this stuff they're doing. Nothing looks easy for them, Swag, right now. You know what I mean?
Hey, you guys are three of my favorite people. All right, and I just met Jason, and he's already.
I'm already in the group.
You already in the group. Nick Sirianni, keep your ass up out the stand. I don't let this who, man, you better keep your ass, keep the main thing the main thing. You can infuse juice to your team without orchestrating it towards the fans. And the second thing is, we were in Philly for a Monday night football game. Them ain't the people you want to piss off, okay? Or unless you about to go out here and win a championship. I understand what you're saying, because players do need to see that from their coaches. They do need to feel like, I think always the best teams have felt like coach is one of us. Or the other side of that is coach eventually removes himself and we take over. Like it's either one of those things. But man, hey man, direct that to a different way.
It could be better. I think it's on Philadelphia to talk as much trash as possible. If it brings the best out of Nick Sirianni, we need as much of that as possible.
Do you think Philadelphia fans are going to have a difficult time doing that?
They're not going to hold back. They're not going to hold back. Oh my God.
That is in the DNA of all the folks from the main line and all points in between. I think that's the essence of Philly.
That's right.
When you see somebody.
Hey, my best seasons and our best seasons sometimes start with some of the most trash talking out there.
You know they wrong.
Yeah.
That's the move.
That's the international.
My bad.
Bow in your face.
Keep your ass up out them stands, man.
Yeah.
All right. The most impressive thing to you about what Detroit did in this game, Ryan, where do you start?
That it was complete and utter physical dominance. When you play the game in the NFL, it's very rare that a team imposes their will in the way you expect them to. Coming into this game, we knew the Dallas Cowboys prepared all week for David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs in the run game. What did they do? Get blasted off of the line of scrimmage and physically dominated in the run. They knew that they would get play-action shots from the Detroit Lions. And what did the Detroit Lions do? Blow the top off of the coverage. And in the end of it all, to be totally disrespectful, they started running hook and ladders to freaking offensive linemen.
I'm all about that, Ben Johnson. Keep them coming, baby.
Was actually catching the lateral with another lineman out in front of him, blocking. When you go into a stadium and you say, we are leaving this stadium with a statement made, that's the way you enter and the way you walk out.
Listen, in the words of Denny Green, they are who we thought they were. Both sides. We knew Dallas has struggled with the run. They've done better the last couple weeks, but they went up against a monster this week in Detroit. And, man, when you can assert your will, like Ryan was just saying, and they know it's coming and they still can't stop it.
Is that your favorite run game to watch?
He's fired up. Look.
Which one?
Detroit's.
I mean, we're about to talk about another one coming up here, too. Think about the number one teams in the NFL right now, Baltimore and Detroit. Both of them are doing it in a way that is not the trend that the NFL is taking. Right. They've done it the way it used to be done. Smash mouth, right at you, downhill football, taking shots over the top when you have to sell out to try and stop it. And it's just a pleasure to watch. As an offensive lineman, I'm jealous of watching that. I want to be a part of it. It's infectious to watch. And I think, especially when you're throwing the hook and ladders to the big guys, that's a little fun.
Swag, I love you.
A tough Sunday for this guy.
Swag, I love you. I love you.
I feel like
he doesn't feel love.
I feel like y'all need to tone the energy down.
Well, listen, like people will call you haters. Like what I'm about to do is I'm just counting. I'm not hating. I'm just counting. Cowboys have been outscored by 42 this year. It's 25th in the NFL. That's worse than the Titans.
It's more.
That's worse than the Giants. That's worse than the Cardinals. This is the third straight home game they've been down by at least 22 points.
Ooh.
It's the third straight home game. Twice in 3 home games they've given up more than 40. It's a lot. I'm not
There's
counting.
So many numbers you can't even figure it out.
I'm counting very poorly.
We beat the Steelers.
That did happen. All right, listen. All right. I'm not clowning you. I'm asking you honestly. When you look at the tape, what are you seeing? What are you not seeing?
To RC and Jason's point, it wasn't surprising to me. This is the issues that Dallas has had against every run team that's physical and has some nuance to their run. This is one situation where you not only get physically dominated, but it's also discipline. You talk about the interior of the line of scrimmage, and I said they played well the last 2 weeks, but this is an example of what transpired throughout this game. Displacement of the line of scrimmage. And when you look at how this is being played on the edge where the cutback is going to happen with David Montgomery, the worst place to be as a defender is outside of the tackle with 2 people. You got a free hitter in 35 who should have been there, but then you got those issues. So it's a lot of things. And the problem in the run game is when you've given it up, teams are going to fundamentally challenge you
every week
in the spots that you show weakness. So Mozzie Smith, Odigizua, even when Micah Parsons get back, they are going to test, are you playing the end of the line of scrimmage with good technique and being in the right place? And they're going to test the interior of this line of scrimmage for the entire season, because that is the blueprint to beat Dallas and force their offense to go into panic mode like we see Dak Prescott.
That's the other thing. Look, they're banged up on defense. We get it. But it was just odd to see them struggle as significantly as they did on the offensive side of the ball. They could help them some, and they're just not doing it.
It was some games, Scott, where they wasn't banged up, and they looked just like that. So, listen, man, we can be, to RC's point, we can be truthful, and it feels like piling on. But I'll tell you what never happened for me, RC and Kelce. We never walked into a Monday meeting after getting physically dominated, and our coaches didn't tell us that.
Yeah.
And the people that matter and make those decisions of the 11 that's going to be out there, they are very honest with you. And we know it too, because what happens after games like this is the entire team ends up in a team meeting room. And there are 12 to 14 plays that your head coach
and it's the whole team.
It's the whole team.
The defense,
offense, special team. Every coach, sometimes the GM is in there.
Yep.
And you go through the film and you look at each individual player and you look at the reasons why we're not playing good football. And 3 times this year so far, Dallas has had to have that happen to him because of the run game.
Yes. The only thing worse than losing a game like this is losing a game like this going into a bye week.
Yeah.
And having to sit on it for 2 weeks. And that's when the questions of the coach come up. And Jerry Jones was very quick to answer them last night, dismissed it right away. We're not considering this. Who would they hire that would be any more qualified than Mike McCarthy? But here's the other thing. Have you seen the Cowboys schedule?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and it's interesting as well, for as involved as Jones is. We're not too far away from New York City. Back in the day, Steinbrenner was the owner that would just hit the eject button. That's not Jones' MO. He's did it in the past with Wade Phillips, but it was much later in the year, and it wasn't a 3-3 football team.
Wade Phillips was 1-7, and he had Jason Garrett. This time, he's got Mike McCarthy, who's 3-3, and Jason Garrett isn't coming through that door anytime soon.
Well, I'm going to tell you what,
Going into a
Dan
bye-
Quinn walked out of that door last year, though.